G'day, bird nerds. G'day, plant enthusiasts, nature nuts, habitat gardeners, aspiring habitat gardeners. I'm Grant. I'm a bird nerd. This is Loz. Loz is my new executive producer for the show. Some of you will have been with me live when Loz joined the team. Must clip that today too, by the way. Hi, how are you? Let's talk about how we're going to do this morning's show. I've got a list of plants that we're just going to cycle through that I'm going to use on the project that some of you may be aware of, some of you may not. If you've got a question anytime, into the comments, and yeah. Oh, see, he's learned that trick. Anytime, if you've got a question, just into the comments. If you're on LinkedIn and Twitter, the best way to do that is to head off to YouTube or Facebook Live, but YouTube, thebirdemergency.com/YouTube will take you right there. All right, what I'm going to do now is show you the project. I'm just going to show you where this unusual project is happening because I agree. And then I'll talk about some of the issues that I've had to consider when selecting the plants. And then I'll just go through some of the plants and tell you why I have selected them. Now, the driveway is the unusual situation. There's obviously concrete, there is no soil, and because it's a tenant place, it needs to be completely container based. So you might say, how are you going to put any trees or anything large in there? Well, let's just have a look. Right, I have a bunch of containers that are about that size in relation to my head. But also, I have a bunch that are this size in relation to my head. So, I can grow some largish plants. Now, one of the issues is I can't go too high, but I do want to get some dramatic effect, and I obviously do want to bring in some birds and insects and other critters. Yeah. So let's start with some of the specimen plants. How about that? Have you ever seen this? Let's open the image. This is Dorianthus excelsa, otherwise known as the Gymea lily. Now, the Gymea lily has become very popular in recent times. This is a plant really from New South Wales, coastal regions of New South Wales. But it performs really well in Melbourne, and there's a massive one used as a street specimen just down only a couple of k's down from me in Sunshine, and that's what got me thinking about using this. There's some really good specimens of Dorianthus excelsa, or the Gymea lily, in the city of Melbourne, and in other botanic gardens and street plantings in Melbourne, but I've ummed and ahed about having enough space for it, but I'm going to give it a go. So that's the first one. Now, while I'm on grassy, we'll stick on grassy and tufty plants for just a little while. I'm not going to go through the boring bit about all the cultural requirements. We'll just really look at what they look like and an idea of their size to give you, just to give you a bit of an idea of what I'm wanting to do. Now, the next one is actually a small, another lily, another bulby plant, very similar to the South African plant that you may have seen in, very common in gardens, called Clivia miniata, or Clivia miniata, I think, Clivia maybe. But this one, Calistema purpureum, is an Australian plant from the Murray-Darling Basin, and it requires periodic flooding to perform well. It's quite common in Western New South Wales and northwestern Victoria, and that Riverina district of South Australia. It's got beautiful little flowers, and it's just a bit of a curiosity. So this is one of the first of the lily kind of plants I'm going to try to get going. There's some others I'm going to employ, but we'll just stick with this bunch first. First today. Really popular with honey eaters. You like the headphones. Okay, another strappy plant that many of you will be familiar with, as you can see on the map there, widely distributed through eastern Australia, generally east of the Divide. Very common around here, very common in horticulture, but it's valuable because of its flowers, which are then followed up with quite large seeds, and they're popular with especially birds like rosellas. And if you harvest them, you can actually use them as for supplemental feeding. But they're big tufts, big tussocks that they form, which gives opportunities for shelter for small birds, especially those that hang around on ground level, and also for for lizards, rodents, arthropods, and whatnot. So that's the main reason for the Lomandra longifolia. Another tufty. Again, flowers, and this time berries as fruits after the flowering. Dianella revoluta. I may go for Tasmanica or longifolia, but whichever one of the Dianella, well, I'll probably try them all and see which goes well here. So you can see quite widely distributed, a very excellent plant in the Australian bush. And sticking with tufties, grassies, we need a grass, or we need a couple of grasses. Poa labillardiera. Now, this is the common tussock grass, again, an indigenous plant in this area, which is why I've chosen this one, but can handle things getting quite wet, so lots and lots of rain. It'll handle that. Easily propagated, really reliable in horticulture, and doesn't seem to get affected by rusts and blights and many of those other, many of the malaise that can affect lots of ornamental grasses. So that's the reason, or one of the reasons here. It's also flowering early, like into spring, into summer, So that's another one of the considerations that I'm trying to provide some feed. Hello, um, some feed over all of the year. All right. Um, another grass. This uh, it used to be called Danthonia. It's now called Rhytidosperma. But wallaby grass is the common name. Quite adaptable again in horticultural planting, so quite reliable. And that one will be getting a go. Flowering earlier than the poa, generally earlier than the poa. So we'll go with that. Yeah, hello. So that one's there. Again, questions, comments. Hit the hit the comments. All right, now I'm going to look at one of the specimen plants, and it's a eucalypt, and I really did need to. Oh, by the way, this is Vicflora, a fantastic website if you live in Victoria, to find out a little bit about the indigenous plants of your area. So, yeah. Okay. Next, eucalyptus. I've always called it cassia, but I'm not sure if it's not caesia. And the particular specimen that I'm looking for is subspecies magna. It's got very big flowers, and these are what you would call a small to medium tree, but they grow up and then they arch over. Each trunk weeps, bends over, and some of them, depending on some of them will almost head down to the ground. They're a stunning plant when flowering. Now, this Australian Native Plants here, which is where I'm using this from, says it flowers in summer, but around here they're generally flowering in late winter and spring. So they're well and truly finished around here. Over the time, I'll show you some of the local situations that they're used around here. They're a dramatic specimen plant, but also have a lot of habitat value, and a really interesting trunk. The trunk is sort of silvery grey, but the outer layers of the bark peel off in a really interesting way. So that's one of the specimen plants that we're going to use. Another one of the specimen plants that I'm going to use when it comes to the Banksias is this one, Banksia boweri. Now, this is a West Australian, so not local from here. But I have grown this in a number of places. And if you keep tip pruning it, it stays really compact. But these have massive flowers. They're a little bit inconspicuous in that they're held a bit close within the bush, but late winter and spring, so really important time for flowering. But they're also a dense bush, so lots of opportunities for shelter, and I've found them to be really attractive for insects as well. Another reason to select it. But the main thing is that it's going to be a fairly dense screen. I'm going to be able to use it to cover up some of the fence and to provide some volume, some foliage volume in the garden bed, bearing in mind that the garden bed is going to be made of all pots. So Now, you can't. Hello. Yeah, exactly. You cannot um, do a project like this without some grevilleas. Now, another specimen plant, and this one I've grown myself before, which you may not have ever heard about, but Grevillea leucopterus. It is it's a large open shrub, and it's in that form of all the tropical or desert grevilleas. But it throws out a really long flower spike. You know, 2 to 3 meter long flower spike, and on the end of it has these white uh, white flower heads, I guess you'd tell them. They're typical Grevillea style. But apart from being white, which is unusual, and the long flower stem, they they emit a scent at night, which is attracts moths, and well, and I think it also attracts some pollinating bats. I haven't seen that myself, but that would be my thought, because it's, you know, generally that's what happens with uh, those scented nighttime uh, plants. Yeah, it's a beauty. It's just really attractive, and it adds a point of interest. Oh, you want to have a look at my glasses? Fair enough. Okay, other grevilleas that I'm going to use. This is a ground cover, and this one is really rampant around here. It's one of the Perinda cultivars, selected by Leo Hodge in uh, when he was in Bairnsdale, I believe. Now this is apparently a uh, apparently a hybrid between Grevillea laurifolia and Grevillea willisii. Now laurifolia is one I'm also considering using, but let's just get this. You can see what a dense mat it forms, and has the showy pink toothbrush style flowers for grevilleas. Now there's a couple of these growing in the around my area, and it's often one of the species used in the grafted standard grevilleas. Now I'm wanting to use this in two ways: to cover, to hang off the fence, so I can put a pot holder on the fence and it can cascade down. But I also want it to act as a mulch across, living mulch across all of the pots, to actually hide the pots from view, and it can handle really heavy pruning, and so I can clip it to quite formal as a. Where are you going? That's it. You can come up there. That's it. Come on this side. Um, you want to get up on there, do you? All right. Oh, maybe you want the pear. Excuse me. I've just got to give him breakfast. He loves pear, and I had it on the bench, so on the desk. So no doubt he'll be wanting to get into that, and I'll get very messy, which is why I'm wearing a terribly old t-shirt. Yep. Okay. So Perinda Royal Mantle, Grevillea Perinda Royal Mantle. Now, another grevillea I'm going to use to fill out the garden bed is this one. A bit hard to get information or good photos or information about this, but this is Grevillea scheresii. Can I open open image in new tab? Now, can you see that the flowers are sort of greeny blue and cream, really insignificant, but I've grown this in a couple of locations, and birds go nuts for it. So uh, that's what I want to, why I want to grow it. It's and it just adds uh, density to a garden bed, and you can again prune it quite quite hard. and that's what I'll be doing is regular tip pruning uh, to to encourage the density, and it can be a refuge plant. Um, okay, so grevilleas. What else do I want? Here's another look at the Grevillea shirisii flowers. Here you can probably see there. Oh, you're very interested in these headphones, aren't you? Okay. So very, very good. Can grow to about. Um, I suppose it's. I think it says here we go to 5 meters tall. It certainly will be about 2 meters in my pot. I would say. And where's the flower? There we are. Grown as a component of hedges and screens. So it's going to be the main reason that I'm growing it. It's quite rare, so it's often difficult to find, but I think it's really, really, really important to have something that is a bit insignificant but provides lots of food. Again, used to get lots of insects in the one that I had in East Gippsland. Um, Flowers most of the year too, which is the other thing which I thought was cool. Didn't I think that was cool? Hey? Yes, yes, I did. Uh, okay. Now there's a few things missing from the list because I haven't made up my mind, but some of the other things that I'm going to do is experiment with grafting. So let's take this out now. I'm going to be experimenting with grafting with Banksias and Grevilleas and some other. Oh, look what's happened when the green screen. Oh, that's pretty interesting. That is pretty interesting. You've become invisible, and I'm even going to experiment with some grafting of eucalypts. Now there are going to be acacias. There's going to be phobaliums. There is going to be um, probably some East Coast begonias in my garden bed. But there's a short list to tempt you, to whet your appetite. So that's about all I have got for today. We're not getting any questions coming in, so uh, next week, we will be covering uh, food plants uh, and other things that you might need in your habitat garden to encourage small small parrots, parakeets, grass parrots. The king parrot was one. Well, that's a medium, I guess, but medium and small. So that's as a result of a question that we had last week, I think. So that's going to be the focus of next week's stream. So 9:30 Saturday, 9:30 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. I'll just give you an opportunity to ask a question, make a comment if you would like to before we end up. I know you want to have some more treat, don't you? It's getting a bit warm in here under the lights, so you might want to be going outside again. Okay, waiting. I'm seeing people coming in now. Are you all coming in at the end? It's because you all got used to me starting late rather than on time. Okay, just waiting for comments. Just waiting for comments or questions. I would encourage you to, if you are watching on a platform other than YouTube. Who we got? Oh, hello, Chris. Facebook like from Chris Coburn. Yeah, I would encourage you to subscribe on YouTube. YouTube is where there'll be some extra shows. I can just do more in it. What's it called? Interaction. It's more features when I'm streaming on YouTube. So that's preferred. Hello Naomi. Yes, Naomi. Pears. Look. He's not liking this one because it's been in the fridge overnight. He only likes them when they're when it's really fresh. But today he's getting plums that I got from a driveway that had dropped from a tree that was full of rainbow lorikeets yesterday, and they were just gorging themselves on plums. So we'll get him on plums, but I only feed him plums outside because if he poops, it's reddy purple. So yeah, that's right, isn't it? Oh, we'll see if he does his little trick. No, he does a little dance if I do that whistle sometimes. I don't know what it is about the. Yeah, there we go. Okay, comments, questions. If you want to see the first batch of plants that I've selected, you'll have to go back and watch the replay. And I encourage you to wait a little while because I have to wait until it processes to clip the bit at the front end out that I have been when I'm waiting for you all to come in. So yeah, I showed you the pots. I suppose next time we do an update, I'll tell you which ones I'm propagating myself and which ones I am buying in as either tube stock or small plants. And then we'll maybe discuss the grafting. Yeah. So, and I have to weigh up how long it's going to take to get grafted specimens against buying maybe a grafted specimen with one species on it and then adding another one or two species to that existing graft. So, but if you're interested in that, we'll go through that and I'll film the process as we go along. So any questions, comments for this morning, Habitat Gardeners? Just waiting. I did get my little. I'll update you some. I'll show you something that I only got late yesterday in the post, but I got a new little toy. There we are, Stream Deck, which is going to let me do a whole lot more functionality and have a bit more fun with the streams. So, I guess over the weekend we're going to be learning or loading up all the presets and loading in some sounds and some clips that it can play and having a little bit more fun. And then I won't need to be looking so much at things to make things happen. So that'll be fun. Okay, well, if you're heading off to... I went to Bunnings. I went to 2 different Bunnings this week. I'll tell you this. Where are you going? You're going on that side. Okay. The plant selection was terrible, I have to say, for people looking at doing anything habitat-wise. It was awful. So I need to look around. I need to get out and see some more. Hello. I need to find some good local nurseries. Otherwise, I'm just need to find you some really good online suppliers. I did find another really good seed merchant, so we'll talk about that. We'll get those people on for interviews, but probably not at 9:30 a.m. on a Saturday because that's a busy time for them. So they'll probably be on sort of as pre-records that I'll then play later on. Although I really like you to have the opportunity to ask questions. Anyway, all right. I think we're not getting any more questions. Enjoy your gardening if you're doing any today. Remember, slip, slop, slap, slide, whatever all the other things are. Just cover up. Be sun smart. Be safe. Oh, I'm getting. Loz is very interested in this cable. He was also giving me a bit of a tickle there, so that was pretty good. Yeah, he was interested in my hair yesterday. Comment. Cool. Naomi. Yeah. I did. I did think that you wouldn't have known what the what it was. It did, the way he was hoeing through it. It did look like bread, didn't it? But yeah, he loves the pear. Is it possible to grow Waratah from seed? Yes, it is. Perhaps if you've got particular things about Waratah that you want to know, perhaps shoot me through an email or something, Naomi, and I'll. Waratahs are pretty good from cuttings, and that way you'll get flowers quicker than you will from seed. But sometimes some of the varieties of Waratah can be susceptible to root rot, which is a general term, but not performing in areas where they get inundated. So the main thing with Waratahs is actually building up the garden bed. So we might do a Waratah program. I was considering, I nearly put Waratah on the list here, but I think for me here being so far south, there's actually some techniques that you need to employ to get Waratah seed to germinate. So I have had them germinate, but if you want like the pink one, or if you want the, like, what's the common one, Shady Lady with the really typical large flower heads, you need to go for cuttings. But yeah, we can talk about what you want to do with Waratahs. Same with the white one. What is it? Wirrambirra white or Wirrambirra white. That needs to be from cuttings as well. Waratahs can be a heartbreaker, but if you can get the bed right, and there's some techniques you can employ, like putting some rocks in the bed and things. But we'll probably, it's probably something I should prepare a video on. Maybe I'll do that rather than bumbling my way through on a live stream. But we can talk about it on the next live stream. But next week is small and medium parrots, attracting them and feeding them. And look, we'll probably broaden it out to some of the cockatoos too. Just see how much time we've got. Just remember, you can always let me know what you're up to, and it's always nice to talk about what everyone else is up to and what success you're having or what difficulty you're having. It's interesting that you've had no success with Waratahs. Waratahs and Baronias seem to be heartbreak plants. So, and look, we'll see how much success I get with the plants I've chosen. That's part of gardening, success along with failures. Oh look, Loz is disappearing in the green screen because obviously green is disappearing. All right, folks, I encourage you to get out and do some gardening, or do some bird watching, or take some photos or something today. I'm going to be spending the day setting up live streams and new ways of doing things. Yes, didn't you? Oh, that's right. You told me that on Twitter or something yesterday, didn't you? Or Instagram. Well done with the glossies. Uh, were they at your place? If they were, that just shows how far they're ranging, and I suspect it's bad news rather than good news that they're having to go farther and farther afield to find something to eat or uh, somewhere to nest. Anyway, um, uh, yeah, glossies. It's about time I got someone on to talk about glossies and carnabies and gangangs. I think. Here we go. Uh, Wentworth Falls, not too far away. All right, very good, very good. There's probably piles of people heading off to off to Wentworth Falls to to check them out at the moment. Um, oh, good. Gangangs in Strath Creek. Very nice, Chris. Very nice. About how many? Uh, uh, Chris, let us know about how many, and also Naomi, about how many glossies did you see? Is the weather um, still ordinary at your place, Naomi? Too beautiful day here today. Um, Four gangs. Um, uh, are you able to, Chris, make a guess whether it was uh, two pairs or one pair and some juveniles, or what did you observe? Um, so Naomi, 8 glossies. Well, that's pretty cool. And overcast, overcast at the foot of the Blue Mountains. How's your mum's place going, Naomi? Um, you are making a mess. Yeah, but you're quite happy with that, aren't you? Yeah, you're just chewing it up and just dropping it all over me and all over the floor. Very, very, very messy eater is the lorikeet. Um, I went yesterday and got some D Lousy, D Mighty spray for him, and I have to save up for the worming liquid. Oh my goodness! If I had have had any idea how much it was going to cost to set up, luckily I found. Luckily we got a big bird cage, and I'm going and having a look at another really big one today, so that when we have to go out, I like him to be not in the cage as much as possible. But if I have to go out and I can't take him, um, we need a bigger cage. And I've ordered a harness so that he can have a harness and I can take him on my walks. And I just need to find a little carrier so that when I go shopping, if I'm going somewhere where they don't want pets, I can just put him in and put him in this little carrier or a little pouch or something, and like take him on the bus or on the train or something as well. So, but the harness is going to be essential. Okay, well there we go. If you want to watch the replay and see all the plants, or most of the plants that I've selected and why, wait for the replay. You can go, oh, not the replay, just go and find it on YouTube. Um, oh no, this is awful. Well, this is an important thing to talk about, isn't it, Naomi? That so often, I mean, the state of your garden and the habitat around you always depends on other people as well. So the neighbours take out boundary trees for the view, of course. Uh, so now in what moves in the currawongs, magpies, Australian ravens, and all the little birds are gone. Okay, that's what tends to happen. So what your mum could do is on that boundary on her side is plant some really fast growing upright syzygiums or something to get in the way of the view. That's pretty much Yeah, it's terrible what people do because they think they've got, well, they do have a right to remove the trees on their own property, which um, yeah, is really unfortunate. So sorry to hear that, Naomi, because uh, people don't understand how much it affects everyone else's utility of their own spaces. Because we're talking about neighbourhoods, and there should be some kind of heritage overlay or something for significant plants, not just heritage plants, but significant plants. Uh, all right, gee, I don't know why. What is that? Oh, I've got a really weird indicator coming up on the camera. Got a hand. Yeah. Look, no, look. Most people won't consult anyway, Naomi, because this, our private property rights are so ingrained into us that it's mine. I've spent my hard-earned money on it. I can do what I want. Um, yeah. Look, I'd do a mixture of wattles, maybe some fast-growing eucalypts that you want to take out later on when other things come up. Uh, but some of those syzygiums now that you can grow, that you can get as hedges, grow really, really, really close. What? They took them out on your mum's side? That's illegal. That's a legal thing. I'd be getting a lawyer. Well, going to cost you money, but that's just wrong. If you got a fence, uh, okay. On the boundary, I'd be planting some prickly wattles and some prickly uh, hakeas, Hakea sericea. They're quick growing. Uh, I'd I'd plant an impenetrable hedge of spiky plants along the boundary, and then plant whatever you bloody well like within that. Um, uh, that's why I don't like people very much. Isn't that annoying? But that's what people do. They think um, so entitled. I'm entitled to the view. I own the view. Anyway, let's not get started. Um. All right. So as I was saying, if you want to watch the earlier bit, if you missed it, wait until I've um uh, uh, gee. So it was fenced. So it was trespass, and they've damaged your property and trespass. I mean, boy, oh boy, boy, oh boy. Yeah, no, Hakea sericea. Oh, look, Naomi, when you email me, um, put a reminder in there about spiky hedge plants, and I'll give you a list that will be okay for your area of prickly wattles and some other things as well, and and some places where you can get them from seed. And uh, yeah, just so annoying, so annoying. Don't you hate people sometimes, Loz? Yeah. Anyway, uh, all right. Ciao, everyone. Have a great weekend. Get out and do something. Yeah. Loz says goodbye too. Got his mouth full though. See ya.